YouTube, how you doing? Gen Z does not know what a party house is. From Gerbert's boy. Now, I've seen this guys' videos before, but you know what I mean? I'll be honest, like growing up as Gen Z myself, I never really went out and partied like that. Has there ever been a party? You know, when I grew up, yeah, maybe like one or two, but growing up, I never really went to that many parties. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Let's see.
Gerby. Pull up to the scene. I'm sipping compounds at the function. They just keep hating. I didn't do nothing. Gerby. My chopper is good.
This nigga always just be rapping for no fucking reason, bro.
I'm at the crib.
He went for 2 minutes.
I was watching 9/11 on the TV while she was sucking. They blew up those towers. They were not bluffing.
What the fuck? Yo, hold on.
Gerbing on him. Now, I'm someone.
9/11. She was sucking my dick while I was watching 9/11.
Of a party animal. When I arrive at the function, the entire energetic vibration shifts. I go crazy. I'm sipping good weed, alcohol.
Yeah.
I'm really getting lit with the hose. I'm on that Molly, the Xan, the lean.
Okay, he's trolling. This nigga's trolling.
To put it frankly, I'm just moving. And they don't like to see that nowadays. They do not like to see a white boy throw down. And it's changing. Fuck? You know, back in the day, back in the 90s, when I'd go to a house party, I could just lose all.
Nigga said back in the 90s, nigga. You was not alive in the fucking 90s, bro, but I know he's trolling.
Inhibitions. You just go with the flow, the motion. You let the Lord take control of you. You lose yourself. But now, all these kids, they have these smartphones. This generation.
Yeah.
And anytime.
This generation. Gen Z, so fucking lazy. Y'all not working hard enough, bro. You know what I'm saying? Back in my day, I was able to get a house in 2 years. You not working hard enough, boy.
You try to really get crunk, there's some weenie in the corner taking some video of you.
Okay.
Showing it to the whole world. Oh, why is he running around punching all the hoes? Bro, sorry
What?
for party rocking. Can't even get lit no mo. You know, this generation really is just a bunch of beta males. No, but Zoomers,
yeah,
they barely even party. They do, you know, if you go to a college.
It's just partying is just not as prevalent in our generation. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of it's just because we can't. We don't have fucking time to, because niggas is working 2 jobs and barely making it fucking buy. They don't have any money to buy shit.
If you go to some cities, there's some stuff going on, but for Gen X, for boomers, for millennials even, it was like a very common occurrence, these high school house parties. The way I've heard about it is that there was never a shortage of them. The problem was like choosing which ones to go to. I've been to a few parties in my life, and okay, well here let me pull up the post I'm talking about. This is from the Gen X subreddit.
Okay.
Were parties like this ever actually a thing?
Not in my fucking not in Gen Z. The fuck?
This is coming from a Zoomer asking Gen X questions. I love 90s and 2000s movies so much, and all of the teen movies have one of these party scenes. They look so fun. I'm Gen Z and have never been to anything like this.
Yeah, never been.
So is this a thing that just doesn't happen anymore, or is it Hollywood trying to make me hate my life more? This got a lot of attention on the subreddit. There's also an X post about it.
That's a good point.
This is the saddest thing I've ever read. Now, I've been to a few parties, which turns out might be like more than a lot of Zoomers, which is sad. But the experiences I've been to were like, they weren't like this. You know, like
like it's not like this. They're all dressed up, all like You know what I mean?
a
Like,
90s, 80s house party that
yeah.
would be depicted in a movie. And I kind of share this similar question. You know, I didn't know if things like this were sort of Hollywood embellishments or a little bit fake. Like house parties happened, but
Okay. Yeah.
you know the whole thing where the cops come and they're, you know,
No, I think that still happens, but it just doesn't happen as much.
this like traditional American high school experience. Because if I watch something like Euphoria
I feel like millennials definitely had experiences like that way more than Gen Z.
now, which is supposed to be a depiction of high school today, it's nothing like actual high school, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's some of that, but from the way these Gen X people are responding, yes,
Was he even a good house party if the cops didn't show up? Yes, definitely was a thing. House parties are the best in a college neighborhood.
definitely was a thing. Absolutely.
Okay.
Every weekend growing up, there was a massive party at someone's house. You never went to a house party? There was one basically every weekend in my town. Someone's parents were always going away. My brother is a cop that patrols the
Damn,
same area.
bruh.
He used to party back in high school. He knows all the spots for outdoor keg parties and what suburban ranch subdivisions are perfect for large gatherings.
I think the reason why shit like this don't happen as much with Gen Z is because we just don't have as many opportunities anymore. I'm just gonna be
Said
honest,
it's
bro.
been at least a dozen years since he's broken up a raging 80s style keg party full of kids. Kids just don't party anymore. So I think the only place now that you could reliably find a party is a college campus, a place like a
Yeah.
fraternity. But even then, these are probably different than they were back in the day. And also, they lack a fraternity college party now. It lacks the appeal that like a classic high school house party does. And this is not just anecdotal stuff that people are pointing out on social media. This is real. There's real data to support this. And someone sent
Okay.
me this article, Death of
Least social generation? Nah, I agree. I think Gen Z is the least social. But it's just because when it comes, bro, like we're at a point in our world, in our country, like you have to work multiple jobs just to get by, or at least one job and barely get by. It's either one or the other. You really can't move. You can't really have as many parties. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like people just don't have as much time. People, you know what I mean? People are more internal, especially with the internet and everything. But even with the internet, people still party and stuff. It's just not as prevalent anymore.
partying in the USA, which compiles a lot of the evidence. Between 2003 and 2024, the
Okay.
amount of time that Americans spent attending or hosting a social event declined by 50%. For young
Oh
people, the
yeah.
decline was even worse. Last year, Americans aged 15 to 24 spent 70% less time attending or hosting
Damn.
parties than they did in
Damn.
2003. Face-to-face
Fuck.
socializing has plummeted in the last two
Yeah.
decades by about 20% for unmarried men and people younger than 25. The decline
Damn.
exceeds 35%, which might explain why these groups seem to have fewer friends than ever. And it's also
Okay.
true that Gen Z
That's a fact. Gen Z is drinking way less. I rarely drink. I have alcohol. I just don't drink it. Like I only drink it on special occasions. Like there's no reason to drink. I smoke weed. I'll get high as shit, but I'm not gonna drink. Like it's just not my thing. And even when I do drink, it's always when I'm around people.
is doing things
It's not by
associated with
myself.
partying, like drinking, way less. A 2023 survey found that the share of adults under the age 35 who say they ever drink dropped 10 percentage points in 2 decades. Alcohol tends to be a
Damn.
social drug, even for young people, so part of the decline in underage drinking could be related to less in-person socializing, said Koob.
Nah, you just in the Discord call.
On average, the amount of time people spent with friends in person decreased from 30 hours a month in 2003 to 10 hours a month in 2020.
Okay.
All of this, the amount of, I shouldn't have to come read the data. People know this. The amount of the evidence and stats about all this crap is overwhelming. And I'm kind of seeing two different
Yeah, it is,
ways
bro.
that people
The
are
fuck?
looking at these trends. And one is to say that, well, this is good. This is good because the young people are not falling for the same traps of drugs and alcohol and
That's not. Gen Z still does drugs. That's not true. It's just like people aren't as social. Like getting high, bro. Bro. I see, bro. I know at least like 10 people like that are around my age that smoke and get high, bro. That's just a fact, bro. You know what I mean? That's just what it is.
Party culture and casual sex and all this stuff. They're being good. They got their heads on straight or something. And partying, that's lame anyways. Like you're
Uh,
just what,
it's good to fart party, go out every once in a while.
sitting around getting drunk, degenerate behavior. That's one angle I've seen. But the other angle is to say it's not like these young people are virtuously declining alcohol and partying. They just do not have social networks like people used to. There's just not the opportunity.
Yeah.
They just don't be doing shit. And my position is that while sure you can say it's good that young people aren't
A lot of it though is like people. It's you just people can't afford to go out all the time. Like that's just what it is. Like you know what I mean?
doing these things, the reason why is very grim. Back to this X post. Parties are boring, just a bunch of people standing around and drinking. What's fun about that? And the original poster says, okay, never mind. This is the saddest thing I've ever read. House parties were the best. I honestly feel so sad if this isn't a thing for youth anymore. They aren't missing anything. They are missing everything. And the thing is, I don't really know. I haven't really been to a party like this. You know, the parties I rarely attended in high school, it wasn't like that. And I've been to some college parties, but I didn't find those enjoyable. So I have no idea.
It's more like a function.
But you're looking at these people like, oh, I didn't miss anything. You're just standing around drinking. It seems like a bit of a cope. I mean, if they are how they were kind of depicted in these films.
Nah, I don't think. I mean, I'm not sad that I didn't party or nothing like that. Like me personally, have I been to a party? Like yeah, but like only like once or twice. But like it just it's true. There's not as many social networks, bro. I think that's true, but you know, yeah, I mean, you know what I
And
mean.
that's just normal, like a fun. I mean, that just doesn't happen anymore. And it does seem like a great youth fun experience that just
Yeah.
isn't happening because of social decay. I get how you could say that about something like going to the club, about broader party culture, but
Okay.
an old school house party, that's like a next level vibe. That's a different thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's more than just drinking and doing all this degenerate stuff. It's like communal and young people doing things. It's easy to look at something like this as a young person and just start feeling down because it's just not there anymore. You just feel like you're in a decaying place. Things are not getting
Okay.
better. You're just born in this empty, broken age. A lot of
I think that's just what it is, bro. Like just Gen Z just even when we do have the opportunity to go party, we choose not to because we don't have time to. One, Gen Z just doesn't have to time to, or there's so many bad things going around and around the world. Like it just you just feel like shit. You know what I
people's
mean?
youth is just so empty nowadays. Even if they're like very social people, parties like this, it's not like they never happen. They probably happen some places,
They just don't
some
happen
high
often
school scenarios.
anymore.
Um, but it's just they're very rare. And these used to happen everywhere all of the time. Small towns, suburbs.
I think just the internet kind of like is part of the problem too. You know what I mean? Not saying that the internet is bad, like, but just it's part of the reason why like people don't go out and socialize as much.
Cities. We do not live in the same country anymore. And the same thing is true with other Western countries. Yeah, I mean, people can cope, but stuff like this probably was very fun. It probably made youth enjoyable
Yeah.
and way less empty. But it sucks, but it is what it is. Could be much, much worse. And I'm not here to complain about it. I'm really here to explain it. I want to dissect the reasons why. So the most obvious thing that people will point out, the people on these posts do it, is technology. They'll blame it on technology.
I don't think that's the entire problem. I think that makes parties more accessible, if anything. But I think just people just don't have. You know what I mean?
Internet, the digital age, smartphones, and there's some truth to it. It's just
There
not the
is.
main thing. But I'll
Yeah,
talk about it first because, yeah,
it's not the main thing.
smartphones, the internet, it did change socialization forever. Young people can stay at home and go on the internet and
Yeah,
be entertained without
yeah, you can get that instant dopamine just on going on your phone.
having to go out, seek experiences. When you go to a party, people will be on their phones now. Instead of engaging with the huzz because you're nervous, some guys will pull out and just, kind of frantically scroll on the weather app. Maybe you've seen those memes, those scenarios. People socialize differently. They're on Discord, they're playing games, they're on voice chats, whatever. And there's the whole thing where you can.
I think that's just a phase that people have in Gen Z. Like, we all kind of go through that phase where we're kind of into ourselves. But as time goes on, you get used to being more open with people and stuff.
Be recorded at all times. Everyone's too connected. So
it ruins the fun.
Inhibitions are higher. So this is what these type of people are saying. Parties don't get wild because anything stupid you do will be on TikTok before you even get home. Phones truly did destroy society. These parties used to be secret. You had to know where the house was at, be invited beforehand, or crash. No one will let their guard down anymore because everyone is filming. Cell phones destroyed all the freedom we used to have. Every weekend was an adventure. It's true that always having these smartphones can destroy the momentariness, the connection of social events now, especially for young people. But it's not really that.
But that's the thing, like, Gen Z still find a way to be social even with smartphones. It's not the entire problem.
Young people are less social or more inhibited at these parties. It's that they aren't happening to begin with.
Yeah,
parties are not being thrown. So that's a very
nobody wants to throw a party because we're already comfortable at home. You know what I mean? We all have our phones. I can sit here and record videos. I can chill, watch movies, play games. You know what I mean? Like, like, there's so many other things that I can do that make me happy. You know what I mean? Of course, not everybody's like that. Of course, you're going to have some people very doomer-like. They just scroll on TikTok all day. They're just super bored. They don't do anything much with their lives. And I know it sounds fucked up to say it like that, but, that is kind of true, too. Depression and social anxiety has gone up, so people are more, into themselves and stuff. But yeah.
Answer for why. And the whole thing about young people staying inside more because of the internet and socializing over the internet. This is true. This is happening. Young people are socializing on the internet in lieu of socializing in real life.
Yep.
But this being a reason for people
not
having
the main
parties
one
anymore is a mix of cause and effect. So let me give you my theory. There's a famous study that you've probably heard of called Rat Park. And it's used to give a different angle on the psychology of addiction. When rats are placed in a cage.
What the fuck? Give me back my frames, nigga.
By themselves with no other.
Why is my shit lagging?
Rats, and they are given 2 water bottles on each side of the cage, one with water and one that is laced with heroin or cocaine.
Okay.
The rat that is alone will continuously drink from the laced water bottle until it overdoses and dies. So this keeps on happening, right? You put the rat in the cage alone with the 2 bottles, it always goes over, it slurps from the crack bottle until it dies. So then to further test the hypothesis, what the researchers did is they put the rats in rat parks, which means they kept the same access to the bottles. The heroin water and the normal water were always accessible. But they added things for the rats to do, and they added multiple rats, a community, in the same cage. What they found was, even though the heroin water was constant...
Bruh, social decay, I think, is just the biggest problem with Gen Z, and part of smartphones are a part of it, but you gotta think of something like, compared to now and back then, you know, when it came to just life as a whole in this country, it was a lot easier back then what it is now. So because of that, people have less access to party. The people have less time to party. People have to focus on more priorities. And even when people don't have priorities because they're bored and they don't have anything going for themselves, they stay at home all day. And so that's, I think, it's just social decay. I think that's just what it is. Yeah, smartphones are a part to play, but people still party and shit. You know what I mean? Like people still do. You know what I mean? But it's definitely not as prevalent. You know what I mean?
accessible. They could go get it at any time, and it would make them feel
That's my
great. I mean,
theory.
it's really, it has a very powerful reward system effect. It's heroin, but the rats didn't even drink it. They take a little sip to know what it was. They wouldn't go back to it because they had everything they needed. They had activities, they had the friends in the cage. So now you might know where I'm going with this. The addictive life-sucking stimulus is there. It could always be there. But if people were fulfilled, they would never turn to it. Similarly with the internet, in every house, there is a portal to everything.
Yep.
To anything you could look up, the information highway.
Everything nowadays is just instant. That's just what it is. Everything now is just instant. You know what I mean? So there's no point in going to a party. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Now you can just instant watch a movie. I think that's a instant gratification, right?
Have it in your pocket. It's always there.
Yeah, it's there. You know.
But to the extent that it replaces normal socialization, it's because people were lacking that socialization to begin with. I've observed this many times in my life and other people's lives. When their social life gets better, when they start having a lot of things to do, they take a big step back from the internet. They still use it like it's everywhere, but they don't use it nearly as much, and to the extent that they do use it, they use it as an accessory to socialization rather than a replacement of socialization, which is a key difference. So
Zoomers, not wrong with the end. It's not. Yeah.
Zoomers use the internet all the time for their community, for artificial community, because they never had community, not because they're rejecting a community for the artificial community. So this is why, in my assumption, using the internet as this boogeyman to explain away all Gen Z's social problems, it doesn't make a lot of sense. These problems have existed before. It was documented by Robert Putnam and people like him. So
I think just each generation is just different. In the future, there'll probably be more partying in another generation in the future. You know what I mean?
Sociologists were talking about this since the 90s, since before, the destruction of community in America. The internet is less a catalyst than it is an accelerant. Once they start using it, they can alienate themselves more, and the real world can become more distant from them. So when we're talking about this problem of Gen Z not having parties, when people just say, oh, it's the phones, it's all of this, that's wrong. It's a lack of community. So what then is the main reason why a lot of Gen Z didn't even know that a house party was a real thing? This is why these channels exist, People won't just talk about this in everyday life. So the one thing that is at the bottom of all of this, behind the internet, before the internet, in all of the research that I've done for all the videos I've made, is demographics. Now, when people talk, and I'm mostly talking about like birth rates, population pyramid, and when people talk about this, it's corny now because guys like Elon Musk rant about it, and they're running around impregnating a bunch of bitches and then not talking to them or whatever. I don't know.
Not paying child support, you fucking weirdo. You fucking ketamine infested fuck. You fucking loser. Fuck you, Elon. Shut your bitch ass up.
What's going on there? And they talk about it in a way it's like it continues civilization or whatever. Demographics is very...
That's another thing. Gen Z is not having kids. Like, we're not planning on having kids until our mid-30s. That's because of how the cards that we've been dealt with. We can't have kids. We can't just buy a house. You can't just easily rent out an apartment. You have to find a good, decent job, if you can find one, unless you know what I mean? And you know what I mean? And if you don't have any backing support from family members, you're kind of fucked, bro. Like, that's really how it is. And there's a lot of people who are Gen Z who live in their cars. There's a lot of people who nowadays who live in their fucking cars because they can't afford nothing. They're just, you know what I mean? They're stuck in a cycle. They're stuck in a cycle. You know what I mean?
Very underrated of a topic when we're talking about the whole loneliness epidemic, or like why Gen Z is not partying or any of this. You know, none of these people on the internet are mentioning it when it is the primary factor. People have no idea the impact it has on socialization when you grow up in a geriatric society. It's not something as obvious as the internet that you could just blame easily, but when you see it, when you think about it for a little bit, you can't unsee it. So there are two aspects to this. There are less young people, period, and their family situations are different. Parents
It's not as
are
easy.
having fewer kids and watching them, hovering over them much more. This is the phenomenon of helicopter parents. And of course, sure, the internet does assist parents in helicoptering their children because they can track them all the time using their phones. Like, you can't even sneak out of the house anymore, probably,
Okay.
because they're just tracking your ass. So on the first point, the average age of marriage during the baby boom was 20 years old.
Yeah. Fucking boomers. I fucking hate boomers. Fucking boomers.
People married
Fucking
young.
boomers.
They had lots of kids in their early 20s.
Yeah.
This group of
That's because they had it easier. And that's because they were able to buy houses at the age of 20. The government was pretty much paying for everything. You know what I mean? Nowadays, the government ain't paying for shit. It's not like that anymore. And guess who runs guess who runs our country? Baby boomers. The fuck? You know what I mean? These, I'm sorry to all the baby boomers out there, but like, it's they're the most selfish generation. From politicians to billionaires, a lot of them are boomers. Not all boomers are bad, but a lot of boomers just expect, if you see somebody do some corrupted ass shit, it's probably a fucking boomer. I'm just gonna keep it a beat. The baby boomer has pretty much stolen all the wealth in this country for themselves, and that's why Gen Z can't buy homes. Gen Z can't do nothing, and then what they tell you is, oh well, you gotta work harder. You're just being lazy, but you're already working 2 jobs and barely getting by, bro. That's our generation. That's why we can't party. That's why we can't do the things that we want to do. People are too focused on bettering themselves, and people are so bitter in our generation because we live in a world where we're being scammed. Like, literally, we're being fucking scammed.
people.
And then, babe, these boomers, they sit there and they look at you and they'll just say, "Oh, well, you're just late. You're lazy. You're not working hard enough." Back in my day, I was able to buy $300 worth of fucking groceries with $10. That basically is what it doesn't add up. And the reason why boomers aren't really talking about this themselves, like these politicians, is because they know it. They know it. They
Was
know
the
it.
largest group of people born in the baby boomer generation. That's when everybody was having kids. So the whole culture, it basically follows them. When you're a baby boomer, everyone's young. Stuff is always happening. It's the spirit of youth. So during that time, yeah, you go around, there's parties everywhere. There's a bunch of young people doing things. There's bands, all these people forming bands, all these people,
Yeah.
all these cultural movements, hippies. It was in the 70s when the birth rate dipped below replacement. And it did so frequently until the mid 2000s, where it finally dipped below completely, consistently.
And that's not just our country, too. That's not just the US. That's like pretty much all around the world, bro. All around the world is dealing with the same problem.
Before then, it went above for a little bit, went below. My dad's a boomer. He grew up in a pretty small town in Texas. We went to walk around his old neighborhood. I'm seeing these pictures. I'm hearing these stories about kids playing in the creek, kids running around yards playing football. You know, all the stories he had when he was a kid. There were a few kids next door. They had a pet monkey. He's telling me these colorful stories about his childhood. We walk around his neighborhood now.
How rare do you see that shit nowadays?
It's a sunny day outside. It's bright. It's not school time. There's like one
empty.
kid in the front yard shooting a basketball all by himself. And it's not that all the other kids in the neighborhood are.
It's just life is harder. The government isn't helping people to push to have more kids. They're not doing enough. They're fucking us over, and they're too retarded. They're too greedy to fucking come up with a solution that benefits everybody. They just want to benefit them fucking selves, bro. And that's why. So millennials and Gen Z have to deal with all those issues. You know what I mean?
Inside gaming and gooning, it's that there aren't any fucking kids. Lonely ass kids sitting here, and I'm having this like weird experience genetically.
Actually, I did have some of that growing up. I did have some of that growing up.
Memories of seeing a bunch of kids in the 60s playing in the ponds, dozens of kids all over the neighborhood running around. Kids now grow up, and even Zoomers grew up in neighborhoods where they're the only young person there in the neighborhood.
It happens.
I just realized
I've been dealing with that too. I mean,
in all my, like, whenever I go to Thanksgiving, whenever I have these family gatherings with like the main, you have your main family and then you go see your cousins and stuff. I'm the only person in my age bracket. Like, I was the only person who was in my teens, now my 20s, whenever I go to Thanksgiving, to Christmas. Whenever we have a family reunion, there will be some people my age, where people from all over the country come together. And that's not too uncommon for a lot of Zoomers. But Boomers,
I did have some experiences in neighborhoods where I did hang out with other kids. You know what I mean? Even if I was the youngest one, like, I still had those experiences, luckily. You know what I mean? But that was really only from like elementary to once I got to high school, all of that shit went away. You know what I mean?
My parents have tons of cousins their age. You really have to think about it, what this does to your socialization. People don't get it. People are growing up with fewer siblings, with fewer young people around them in neighborhoods in their local community.
That's kind of true. I have 3 brothers. Okay, I have 3 brothers. You know what I mean? So that's not true. I mean, at least for me. But I mean, part of it for me. Hold on. Let me see.
Get it? People are growing up with fewer siblings.
I have more siblings.
With fewer young people around them.
I didn't have as many young people around me outside of my family. There you go. That's my
their local community. A lot of kids born now, the people who are trying to pull out.
I had brothers, not whole community.
Those kids aren't even going to have cousins. When you think about the classic house party of an 80s and 90s movie, that's classic American culture. Youth is culture. If there's not people making families, having more children, the culture...
They can't have families because the fucking boomers took everything and they don't want to... That's just what it is, bro. The boomers fucked us, bro. Millennials don't want to have as many kids. Gen Z don't want to have kids at all. Our government's panicking because they're like, oh shit, we got to get these motherfuckers to start having kids again. But what they don't understand is that the reason why we can't have kids is because we can't afford it, dumb fuck. You know what I'm saying? All of our taxes is going to some war we didn't even want to be a part of. All of our taxes is where, you know what I mean? Like, you have to buy health care now. You live in the richest country in the world, but yet you have to pay for fucking health care, nigga. That's how retarded this shit is. These boomers, they have it easy. They stole everything, and they said, hey, you gotta make your own way up. That's literally what the fuck they did. But what they don't understand is they locked Gen Z and millennials out of the housing market, out of basically it's hard to attain wealth. The only way to be successful, it's not like how it used to be. Like, it's either you're rich or you're poor, and you choose which one you want to be, bro. That's just what it is, bro.
It's dying. A lot of times when
that's just what it is.
People just think you're weird. Oh, birth for women. Oh, you just want more kids running around. But you have no, you don't, use your fucking
No.
head. People do not.
Nah, no, those people are probably like the older people that don't know what the fuck they're talking about, nigga. You're not having, most Gen Z is not gonna have kids until their late 20s, if not their 30s, bro. That's just a fact. Their first kid, they're not having until their late 20s or in their mid 30s, bro.
Become
That's just what it
socialized
is.
properly when they are an only child. They grow up in a neighborhood with no kids. Both of their parents are working. You just send them to school, ask them to fend for.
Yeah. Yeah. The reason why the parents have to do that is because they can't afford anything, bro. That's what it is. The wealth disparity is fucked in our society, bro. And it's fucking everything up. And the people who are in power aren't doing nothing about it because they're greedy, selfish little pieces of shit and they don't care about the American people. None of them do. You know what I mean? And a lot of them are boomers. That's just what it is, bro. Not all boomers are bad. There are a lot of boomers out there that are struggling. You know what I mean? But a lot of it are the boomers. You know what I mean? And a lot of these problems happen because a boomer made a dumb decision, bro.
Themselves.
That's what the fuck it is, bro.
And they don't have any community. They have to use the iPad. Think about what
they don't
happens.
have to. Even I had to.
Humans are social creatures, but you have to be socialized properly. You can't just throw a kid in the fucking jungle and he comes out and he's suddenly able to riz the hose. This isn't fucking Tarzan or whatever. School is a hostile environment. You know, these lonely only children, when they get sent to school, they become antisocial. Because often the very first thing that happens in school is like you gang up and pick on the bottom rung. It's just human nature. It is what it is. Like when you're socialized with other young people, not just thrown into a school, but in a community with your family, with your cousins, with your extended community, it's a more warm, welcome environment. So you learn how to interact with people. Here's to put it simply: community comes from family. All these people talking about a return to community, wanting to build communities, have community.
People don't have time to build communities. That's the problem. People don't have time to do that shit, though. You know what I mean? They don't have as much time.
Third places, You're just rejecting the foundational sociological facts. Community comes from family. No family, no community. So a lot of kids come from divorced parents. You know, when you talk about a house party, it's like parents that are doing well, they have houses. That's one thing. Like, people owned houses. A lot of Zoomers are children of divorce and dysfunction and stuff like that. They don't have like a home that their parents own and they leave for a trip so they can go invite all their... None of the ingredients were there. There aren't enough young people. There's not the cultural familiarity.
Yeah, you can't create a culture if the people can't prosper. Like, that's just what it is. You can't create a culture if the people can't fucking prosper. If you can't, you think I want to have a kid right now? I'm 22, bro. Think about that. I'm 22 and I'm not thinking about having kids till I'm 30, if not my mid 30s. That is horrible. That is fucking horrible. It shouldn't be like that. It really shouldn't be like that. But it is. Because we just live in a world. We live in a world now where, I mean, it's just ridiculous, bro.
Social fabric, it's just gone. Demographics and birth rates. It's not like it's not a weird thing to talk about. I'm not talking about like a political thing about the future of our empire or whatever.
It's not
it's already had massive implications for the socialization of young people. It's the primary reason. What I'm positing is that if the average age in America was closer to 20 than what it is right now, 40, internet, no internet, it wouldn't matter.
That's insane.
There would be shit going on. There would be parties. We wouldn't be having this conversation. But the thing is with Gen Z is that it's kind of a hybrid generation. Some Gen Z kids have boomer parents, older parents who are well connected. Some Gen Z kids have a lot of siblings and
not as connected, like, locally outside the family.
You know, like, their lives are pretty normal.
Yeah.
And it's working. But when you get into Gen Alpha, Gen Alpha is very small. This is where you're really going to start to see it. Gen Alpha
We gotta start having babies, nigga. But we can't have babies if the government doesn't want to fucking help us. So, to all you fucking boomers in the White House, go fuck yourself.
Are growing up in neighborhoods where they are the only
Fucking
kid within a
prick.
fucking 5-mile radius. They have no siblings. Boomers, Gen X, millennials, they
Yep.
are better socialized because the boomers, that's obvious. That was the baby boom. But then a lot of the boomers' kids were Gen X millennials. When you start getting into Gen Z, it's like there are some boomer parents, but you're getting into the younger generations that are birthing Generation Z. You need to think about it because you've just grown up in this time. When a boomer 20-year-old walked into a bar, he's seeing a bunch of other 20-year-olds. When you walk into a bar now, if I walk
It's
into a bar,
empty. It's
everyone's
empty.
fucking elderly. This is what it means to have a dead culture, to have a decaying culture. Families and children need to always occur, always be formed.
It's up to our generation to do that, though. At the end of the day, regardless, even if we do having kids later in life, we gotta figure something out. Our generation, we do. You know what I mean? We can't just blame earlier generations. Yeah, it might be their fault. You know what I mean? But we still have to figure something out, and we have to figure out a way to prevent shit like this from happening again. Shit like this happens because people can't afford to have kids. You can't afford to have kids. People want to have kids. I want to have kids. I want to have pets. I want to have, you know what I mean? I want to be a good, a commender to the fucking economy, but you can't do that if you're stuck in circles in a trap in the rat race. You can't get out of it. You're just, you know what I mean? You can't buy a house at 20. You know what I mean? You can't buy it, you know what I mean? You can't do none of that shit no more. You know what
In
I
order
mean?
for the
Like you can't
social fabric to continue. And
I bet I
they haven't, so it's not. Oh, it's the smartphones that were mass adopted in the mid 2010s.
no, it's
No, use your
not.
fucking head.
No,
It's just not. It's just like a complete. It's an incomplete.
and you know he's right about the whole we're not birthing kids because our government currently is trying to push us Gen Z to have babies. They're pushing us to have more kids, but most Gen Z, like probably like 90% of Gen Z, don't want to have kids. We don't. We don't want to be stuck, trapped, and married in a broken fucking society, bro. We don't feel ready for that yet. We don't. Not until things start to turn around, then we'll start doing shit.
Analysis of the situation. People with healthy social lives are not taken over by the internet. They don't need
No,
to.
dude.
It's
Yeah.
the rat park. When they have what they need, they don't use the internet. People use the internet because they don't have what they need, and that's because it was fucked when they were born. And things
Yes.
become less conducive to the youth. Parents helicopter their kids. Dude, I knew so many kids. I was kind of one of them, but it wasn't that bad for me. Their parents just helicopter the shit out. Dude, they couldn't have sleepovers.
Yeah.
They like couldn't go outside.
Yeah, I know.
And
I know some cousins
they have
like
no
that.
siblings or one sibling. And it's like, what the fuck else are they supposed to do but be inside on the internet? Yeah, and people, yeah, that's a classic thing. Like I sneak
Yeah.
outside to go skateboard around the neighborhood. My mom finds out.
I go sneak outside. I fucking smoke a shitty rolled ass joint. Fuck made out of gum wrappers, nigga.
She gets mad. And then it's like, okay, so you can't do that. You can't go outside. And then she also gets mad at me for using the internet and playing games. All right, I guess I'll just lay on the ground. That's cool. It's unbelievable. But anyways, that's enough of that. Now let's end it on a different
Where we going?
note, as I try to do. Look, yeah, America's not as good as it was for
It's not,
the
no.
boomers, for Gen X, for even the millennials. Now,
Millennials and Gen Z, that's where it really got fucked up.
they try to throw their hats in with Gen Z. I know the economy wasn't great for millennials either yet. The boomers,
Yeah.
after that, it kind of went down for everyone. But millennials trying to.
I wonder why. I wonder why it went down after boomers came through. I wonder fucking why. Now, I don't think all boomers are bad. It's just most of the problems are caused by boomers.
Trying to throw their
You know what I
hats
mean?
in with Gen Z, you need to cut it out. Like teenagers in the early 2000s. Oh, sounds so bad. Even if you're like a late millennial, you were in college in 2016 or something. What? That's a great year.
Nah.
You know my my teen years, the pandemic. Shut the
Yep.
fuck up if you're a millennial. You can't. You don't even.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'll acknowledge this. You're not the boomers or whatever, but bro, even 10 years ago seems like a paradise now. But this is the thing. I'm dooming again. It's hard not to doom. I really don't believe in dooming. I think that's a bad thing to do. I try to beat it.
I believe that things will get better because Gen Z will make it better. Gen Z will make it fucking right for everybody.
Attached. I'm just saying
I
what's going
genuinely
on.
believe that.
You got to know. But
We
you
will, we
also
will.
got to be responsible and control your own reality. You get what I'm saying, Holmes?
That's true. Yeah.
So here's the cope I'm going to end off with. It's not really cope, it's the truth. I'm going to tell you the truth. Yeah, it's not great for Zoomers. It's because we're experiencing a decline, okay? So that's the kind of where the general pessimism comes from.
Decline in our country, decline in our society, decline in just our culture. You know, everything's falling apart. You know what I mean? Nobody can come up with any real solutions to turn things around. You know what I mean? And when they are willing to do something, you know, they only do it for themselves. So it ends up fucking everything up and getting worse and worse and worse. But things will get better.
Is you feel like you're in the midst of a decay, a decline. But things could be so much worse. Like
Oh,
it's
fuck
bad
yeah.
for us. Bad compared to what? Oh, we didn't have house parties. We didn't have fun. Children are getting blown up. They're getting trafficked. All sorts of stuff's happening all around the world. So you have to understand what you have and be grateful no matter what. Be grateful
Yeah.
to be alive. But when you're in the midst of this decline, it used to bother me, but it eventually forced me to believe in something more. The truth of the matter.
Yeah, yeah. I think things will get better because Gen Z will make it fucking better. I mean, I've had millennials, like even like or like late stage millennials, or I'm sorry, early stage millennials, like my dad, and you know, or my dad's just a millennial, but you get what I mean. Like even he told me, like Gen Z is really the only real last hope, not just for this world, but our the countries that we live in, our society. We're really the last hope. It really is the case, and you know, I'm glad a lot of Gen Z, you know, aren't stupid. Like a lot of most people in Gen Z actually have common sense, more common sense than previous generations. I will 100% say that. That's true. It might not seem that way because you see a lot of Gen Z do some dumb shit, but it's really only a small group of people. Most people just worry, you know, most people that, you know what I mean, that aren't crazy and retarded aren't really doing on, you know, they're not really putting themselves out there like that. That's just what the reality is. So the reason why it seems like there's a lot of lunatics out there is because the, you know, that's all you, that they're always the loudest, you know what I mean?
Is that millennials, Gen X, boomers, they were able to believe this self-destructive shit and be atheists because their lives were good. They had the house parties. They could do stuff. They grew up in the 20th century America, which was a great place. The post World War II 20th century
Yeah, it's
America.
post-war,
And now
yeah.
you're experiencing the decline of that. And if you don't live in this normalcy bias weird shit where boomers try to convince you or try
Yeah,
to
you're too lazy.
tell you you're still in the 90s, like you just go get a
Yeah,
job, get a wife.
yeah, just get a new job. I've had, yeah. You seem sad. If you don't feel like you're making enough money, well then just go get a new job, bro. It's just that easy. I mean, I don't know what it's like to be your, you know what I'm saying, your age at a time like this, but you know, just get a new job and just work a little harder. Yeah, you're just lazy. You're just not working hard enough. Shut the fuck up.
Get a house and everything
Shut
works.
your
When
ass
when
up,
you
nigga.
break that
Shut your bitch ass up, nigga. Shut the fuck up,
illusion and you
boomer.
see what's happening, you see the decline. And this is just my
I
opinion
hate
at the end of it.
motherfuckers
You
like
can
that.
take it or leave it. When the true nature of human life, as it has been for most of human history, is revealed, which is suffering, which is, you know, struggling to survive even. When things get down there, you can't afford to not believe in something greater anymore. So then what are you here for? You have to consider it because it's not fun. It's never been fun for me. Maybe it was for millennials. Oh, we're at the house party. Oh, Gen X. Woo, popping. Yeah. Not us, brother.
We got to make a difference though. But you can't expect previous generations to do anything about it. Gen Z has to do something about it. We have to do something about it. Like that's the only way it's going to get better. Like our generation is really the only generation that can really do something about this.
You have to believe you were born
You have
here
to,
for a reason at this
yes,
time
it
for a
happens for a
reason.
reason.
You know, if life's just about the fun, the friends, the material success, the hobbies, all of it, that this was taken from Gen Z and definitely from Gen Alpha, like before we were born. So you can't think that's what life's about. You have to think
Yeah, you
it's
gotta.
about something more. Shit gets hard, you got to find God. The good, fun boomer life, that's not here for Gen Z.
It's not.
So there has to be another reason why you're alive. In my mind, in my life, I simply do not have the luxury of not believing in something like that. Because because it's just been going downhill since I was born.
Yeah,
There's no
and it's
hope
gonna keep getting worse. The only way it's gonna get better, y'all. Gen Z just gotta step up. That's just what it is, bro.
for like
If we want to make a difference,
I don't see there's real hope for the future, but there's hope if you believe in something greater than the material.
yeah,
That's the only, like, at this point, that's the assurance I can offer. I can't be like, oh, things are gonna get better. It doesn't matter if they get better.
yeah,
This is you got to believe there's always a reason for you here. There's always moves you can make to
yep.
do what you got to do,
Do what you gotta do, make a difference. You know what I mean?
fulfill your purpose.
Yep.
You have to believe you have a purpose. You can't be fully attached to this world and stake your happiness on it. People in the West will be like, "Oh, there's children dying and starving. What good God would allow that?" It's like, well, they believe in God because they have to. You can't just be born into that and then think, "Oh, I'm here to just get fucking blown up and that's my life."
Just take a breath.
Because I'm just atoms.
I'm just
No, they have to
atoms.
there's a reason for their suffering. There has to be. Otherwise, who fucking even cares about anything? Why would I even care to do anything if that's
Damn, bruh.
if that's not the case? Anyway,
Bro's really fucking cooking.
I didn't mean to get like theological or religious at the end. That's not what this channel is about. But that's the only like way I can end this positively. You can't stake it in the material because shit is declining. You can't stake your happiness in it.
Can things get better? I mean, yeah, but you know, a lot of sacrifices will be made for things to get better. But this, you know what I'm saying, video link will be down in the description down below. You know what I'm saying? How do y'all feel about this? Do y'all agree? You know what I mean? But, you know, I hope you have a good breakfast, a good dinner, good night, man. I love y'all, man. Peace.